concept of the room, of the whole building, was to create an area where athletes had an inclusive training zone, you know, to be able to do most of the things that they do throughout the day here. So, academic study center, critical piece of the puzzle, right here, centrally located. All our nutrition, our cafeteria, kitchen, everything right here for all our training table. Immediately access after training session or after practice. All our sports medicine. We got sports medicine on both sides, really football and Olympic sports. And you're approaching this is not a football deal, right? This is the whole thing. So, you know, we've got Olympic and football wings, but having access to the sports medicine right there, centered down to our medical facility clinic here with our physician offices. And
talk a little more about the clinic. I mean, it seems like it hadn't quite been set up yet, but it's a doctor's office. There's everything you need in there, right?
Everything you need in there. Yeah,
dentist, optometrist.
Yeah, so they could bring in anybody they need to be seen. So, you know, Casey Batten is our team physician, and he primarily triages everything that we need. So if there's a need for an ortho, we have associated orthopedists that are working with us. He'll bring them in. They'll see patients in there. It's just worked out great for us. So it's right here. You know what I mean?
It's like a doctor's office that's right in-house. Like if somebody gets dinged up on the field, you bring them down the tunnel, and there they are.
They can come in here if we need to, and they have access to X-ray. And you know, it's just everything is very, very, very convenient for us.
So what's the standard equipment? What do we got on this thing? What kind of rims do we have on this thing as far as
in terms of in here? So what you have is the body of the resources. So we have the nutrition, we have our cafeteria, we have our medical suite, we have our sports medicine, we have obviously this beautiful weight room, and we call it a performance center. We call it our high performance zone because it's, you know, there's more than just weights in here. Obviously with the turf and the other performance training pieces that we have, it's all kind of inclusive. We have along this wall, we have some suites, fitness studio, so multi-purpose deal for us. Pilates, stretch classes, our physical therapists will do back classes in there, spin classes. So it's kind of a room off the side, get music going, and allow people to shut the doors and do whatever they need to do in there. On the far side and through the middle, we have biomechanics, physiology, and biochemistry, the labs. The place is set up for labs. We're not using them yet, okay, but we're going to be using them. And the labs are there because it's really critical for us to start integrating sports science into what we're doing. We want to take a look at what the latest research is, the latest techniques, how does it apply to sport, how can we grab information from that and integrate it into our current modalities that we're providing for our athletes, whether it's strength conditioning, sports medicine, or nutrition. You know, how can we utilize sports science to get us better and to make sure we're doing that, you know, optimizing our training with our players.
So one of the things that everyone loves is the underwater treadmill.
Right.
And we saw that the pool's empty, but there's a big hulking black treadmill that I guess you just roll onto the platform and then lower it down. That's how it works?
Exactly. So that's an unbelievable piece for us. So rehabilitation and reconditioning. Okay, so having the ability to unload the athlete, what that is. In that medium, it's a viscous environment, so you got water resistance, so it's twofold. We can take the body weight load off an individual, so less impact in terms of, you know, maybe a stress injury of some type. Okay,
like a knee injury.
Could be a knee injury. It could be a stress fracture. It could be a hip injury. It could be a surgical case that someone's recovering from. But to unload the body so there's less impact, but still be able to move them with water resistance. So you strengthen the soft tissue without putting the stress in the joint. Keep it simple. Okay, we have that in with underwater treadmill. We also have Alter-G treadmill. Alter-G treadmill is in the corner over here. Is an unloading treadmill. Similar thought process. What that does is you get into the thing, you step on a force plate, it takes your body weight, and you zip into a sealed container on the treadmill, and the sealed container fills with air, and what that does is it'll unload the body. So we may want an athlete to be able to go through a workout who couldn't go through a normal treadmill or running workout for whatever reason, couldn't have full weight bearing and running.
Right.
And what this will allow you to do is to unload them. You can set their body weight at 60% of body weight, or 50%, or 75, whatever you want, and find a pain-free, motion for them and run them.
So for guys who have who have, maybe bad feet, or guys who aren't, let's say, endurance athletes,
Right.
that's something that'll relieve the pressure. They maybe have a lot of endurance, but it's the physical, the pounding is what gets them.
Exactly, the impact. So exactly, that's been a tool for us. We use it quite a bit with reconditioning athletes. So an athlete who's transitioning maybe from sports medicine to surgical case, or coming off an injury, transitioning back to normal weight bearing and running. So it's just another tool. It's right here, quick access. Made it easy for us to be able to utilize some of these things and help speed up the recovery.
One of the things that I remember you talking about and being really excited about was having computer terminals at each thing, and I'm looking around and I don't see them.
Yeah, they're coming.
They're on back order or what?
Yeah, it's just everything's a process, and for us, it was a real fight to get in here and to get everything in and ready to go, and there's still parts that we're still working on, and we want to get it right, okay? And we know what we want to do, and the plan's there, the architects are involved, and our IT people are involved, and it's just we're going to get this thing right. We're going to make sure it's done exactly right, so when the athletes get in here, they can really utilize it. So the pillars will be where that is.
So those cables that I'm seeing up there are
that'll be for a flat screen. Okay, we'll also have flat screens in the banner over here.
Right, just that guys can watch game film or even just watch TV while they're working out.
No, typically, I wish it was that not quite that comfortable. We might do some highlight films, things like that, when it's an open hour, or if we're bringing recruits through, things like that. But for the most part, we'll use that for video, okay, and we'll use that for display boards and things like that for our athletes. On this side, we'll use this for video analysis. So we may pick up video of an athlete, say doing an Olympic movement or an exercise on the platform, and loop it back up there on a delay, so they can do their lift and then look back up and watch their.
So you can see their form, see if they're cheating or see how much they're cheating.
Or we can coach to it. So so the athlete. But the primary technology that we're putting in are touchscreen monitors, and there'll be 4 touch screens on each of the pillars.
Okay.
One for each workstation. And I'll kind of go through really the highlight of the room, which is this. This has really changed how we do things.
Right.
But the touch screens will be here, okay, and the athletes will go from their workstation to the touch screen, touch the screen, pull up their workout, okay, and be able to access everything that we're doing for that day.
Stuff we've talked about.
That's the stuff we talked about.
Yeah, way back when.
Exactly.
Now, talk a little bit about the nutrition. We went through there briefly. You took a little video of the kitchen, took a little video of the cafeteria. What kind of stuff are you doing for them nutrition-wise?
Right. So at this moment, what we have is training table for football. Okay. Down the road, what we envision here is a full functioning cafeteria for access for all athletes.
Like a dining hall.
A dining hall, exactly.
That functions the same way as like a Unit 1 dining hall would, except for athletes.
Exactly.
Now, and hopefully better food.
with foods conducive to performance, and with that being said, we'd be able to through our nutritionist really be able to get the correct foods up there and provide something that really aids what they do in their training environment. And that's the key for us. We want to try to be great with that. So that's work in progress. That's part of our evolution that we'll have once we're in the building a little bit longer and really nail it down. And like I said, we're still working towards some of our goals. But having access right here, they can take a shower, they can come right up, get access to good foods, the correct foods. That's the key for us. So, at this point, really, we're talking about a training table, so 1 meal a day for our football team. And with that being said, we have our nutritionists and they, make sure that the correct meal plans are in place, and all our athletes meet with our nutritionists and have individualized diets, so they know what to do when they're up there, and then we monitor that.
The 30 yards of turf, or however many it is over there, what was the impetus behind putting that in? I mean, that's something obviously not a lot of schools have. Right.
Well, for us, it was interesting. It kind of made me talk about the whole concept of how we got to this place. When we came onto this, the building itself had already had its walls and general shape to it. And so for us, we had to figure out exactly how we wanted to handle what we did inside the room. And looking at it and starting to draw out initial floor plans, it got pretty confusing. You know, how many stations, how many weights, and do we do a track? Do we do turf? You know, how much turf do we do? How much?
And at one point there was going to be a track.
At one point there was going to be a track, and I think there were probably 10 or 15 floor plans that we actually looked at. You know, we actually built and created and looked at and went back and forth. And at some point through that process, we stopped, we took a step back, and we said, okay, what is it we're trying to do here? You know, what are our goals? You know, what are we trying to develop in terms of the training space? Right from what teams are going to be utilized in the facility, how large are the teams, what are our staffing models, and how are we going to staff the facility? You know, how are we going to flow teams through and schedule them? All those things we just stopped right to the level of detail where we started talking about the training itself, order of exercises, flow from athletes from one part of the room to another. You look at a large room like this. I'm talking about there is 100 yards long. I don't want athletes going 50 yards for a piece of equipment.
Right.
Okay? That takes time, and we lose supervision. So we started thinking about that. Well, what do we want to do with something like that? We need to really think about how we want to handle this, right down to just honestly monitoring and supervising the athletes. So we started with that perspective. We said, okay, what are the sports that primarily train up here? Most of them are field sports. What is it that we'd want to be able to utilize a track or an open area for? Okay, and what we came back to that is it's going to be a primary warm-up area for us. We'll jump on it. We'll do plyos. It'll be a multi-purpose area, meaning we may be doing reconditioning or rehabilitation there as well. Okay, we roll out, we stretch, we do medicine balls. So we wanted an area that really allowed us to have more flexibility on this side of the room, and to be able to do lots of different activities pertaining to the training program. Okay, and so that's essentially how we came up with the turf. We netted it, and the purpose of the nets was
kickers.
The case, not even just kickers, but you know, if we want our quarterbacks to be able to, at the end of a workout, you know, throw a ball around in here, if they feel like doing that, they can now do that. If the soccer coach wants to come down and do some ball handling drills on the turf, can drop the nets, protect the glass around here, and they can spend some time on the turf. So
is there a button that drops them and a button that
yeah,
rolls
exactly.
them up?
Over there on the wall there is our control, and there's 11 different nets, and you just determine what you want down, and you can section it off, or you can just do one big square.
All right.
You want me to do that for you?
Well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to get the video first. So I think the one question that at least a lot of us were asking during Pro Day was, why not add 10 yards? and we actually be able to run a 40 in here.
Yeah, we'd have to run a little more than 10, because we got 20 yards there, so we'd have to run 20 more.
Okay, so everyone had said you had
and then it'll
30,
run out and that kind of thing. So, you know, we also knew what it wasn't. Okay, we knew this wasn't going to take place of a practice area for us. Okay, so this really never was intended for teams to schedule sport training here.
Right.
Okay, it's more of a training, multi-purpose area that really correlates with the performance aspect of what we're doing. And if coaches can get in here and utilize it at certain times, shoot, it's raining outside, our softball pitchers need a spot to throw, put the nets down, they can throw. So it's worked out nicely to aid in some of our facilities,
right,
but not as a primary use, if that makes
right.
sense.
It
it's
doesn't
a sport
take
training
place.
facility. Yeah, it's sport training. So in here, the concept was, for me as a strength coach, was how do we create an environment where, one, we can train with ideal order exercises, two, we never have to wait for equipment, okay? And three, athletes never have to go anywhere to find a piece of equipment. They don't have to move 50 yards one side or the other. Four, how do we monitor and supervise it? And so what we came up with through the help of Sornex exercise equipment is the concept of a workstation. And what we have here, what you're looking at, are 22 workstations, all the exact same, okay, reproducible stations. For every workstation, for every 4 stations around a pillar, okay, we call that a pod. The pod has 4 workstations and a dumbbell rack.
Got it.
A dumbbell, so 150 pounds.
So each one of these is a single. It's like an earthworm. Each one of these is a single segment.
Exactly. So you got right here is a pod. 150 pounds of dumbbells, 4 workstations. Okay. within your pod, you can do everything, the whole workout. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll send athletes in groups. They might be groups of 2, 3, or 4 to a station, and it's their workstation. They'll go from their
from one to the other to the other to
from
the
their
other.
computer. From the computer, pull up their workout to their workstation, which would be the platform, anything in here in the rack, or the dumbbells. Okay, everything is done right. They'll never leave this area. Okay, this workstation has got all your explosive movements, your platform, your Olympic lifts, and all their auxiliaries, all your squatting movements, pressing movements, anything that you can do with the Olympic bar, a bench, and a rack. Okay, it's got Bulgarian squats, it's got band attachments, it's got weight vests, dip belts, bands, chains. Okay, it's got jammers, it's got 5 different types of pull-up handles, grip strength, Bulgarian squats, step-ups. These things are really unique, and that's where Sornex came in. They were great with us.
So there is no workout rack like this anywhere else except the University of California.
No, not necessarily. This exercise equipment company makes these racks.
Okay, got it.
And they're producing these racks now. They've customized them for us,
obviously,
based off of our needs and our space. We had space limitations on that side of the pillar. They came in, they helped us with that, and helped design all these things on the wall are custom designed to the company. But what this allows us to do is now I've got 3 athletes that come here, okay, and they're working through their program, okay. They're self-limiting. They never have to wait for equipment, okay. If I want them to spend more time in one exercise versus another, they're not having to slow anybody else up. They're not having to wait for that equipment. They just work right through it, okay. I staff each of the pods with a coach. They can stay right here and monitor these athletes. They never leave the area, okay.
Right.
So I don't lose them. Okay, they don't have to get slowed down by moving across the room. So it's become very efficient for us. Okay, so I can write the programs the way we want them. They can execute them. We can supervise them and monitor them the way we'd like it to be done. It's really, really been efficient. For our multiple teams, then when we have, for example, a soccer team or a lacrosse team or golf team, a smaller team that's in here, we can send a team to pods. So you could have this women's soccer team
take up 3 or so pods,
and lacrosse take the other 3. Okay, and they never cross paths because they do everything in their pod. So it's become efficient from the perspective of within a program, within a large team. It's also become very efficient with smaller teams and utilizing the facility at the same time from a staffing perspective and supervision. And from a flow perspective,
the look on your face, you're like a kid in a candy store. It's like, it's finally here. It's finally done. I can finally use it.
It's probably accumulation of all the time and thought and organization and process that it took to get to this point, and then to actually get it to see it evolve, and then to get in and then to be able to utilize it. And at the end of the day, all the time and effort that we put in all those areas really are paying off because it's really doing exactly what we hoped it to do. And once we finish up with getting our IT rolling in here, it's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be the icing on the cake. Go paperless.